Welcome back to Market Day Report. Let's go back to Chicago. Great friend here, Market Day Report. Hope you enjoyed his comments. He's going to be with us an awful lot here. Todd Horwitz, Average Joe Options. Todd, we look at this livestock trade. What do you make of this beef trade? A little bit of a turnaround here today.
You know, I'll tell you, we see obviously some upward bias here. They're still trying to buy them. They're still playing maybe the shortage in supply. I don't see the demand, Mark. I can't put that in around my head that people are going to actually go out and pay the numbers that they're going to have to pay to get these things. So although we're holding up here, you know, we're just after the Memorial Day holiday. I don't see it. I would not be an owner here, and if I was an owner or a producer, I'd be selling every bit in the open market right now because I can't see much more price movement higher. Could it go higher? It certainly could go higher. But with my money, I think that this is about the end. I've said this for quite a while. We've been in this range up at the upper end of the balance here. End of the day, I want to sell them. Okay.
Well, before we leave beef, one of those people who say, well, Todd, you've got cash still up there holding steady week to week, 150, or 59, 60, 61, $8, $9, $10 from where the June futures are. They've got to come together.
You know what? And they probably will, but I think the cash will come down. Remember, when you're dealing in the cash market, that's a little bit more contrived. It's a little bit more mixed up, and if you get enough guys that are dealing in cash, they can hold prices. Being from this industry, back working in the South Water market 40 years ago, I remember how it worked, and I remember how prices worked, and I would say that the cash prices can come back down, and they're all going to come down together. That would be the way I would see it play.
Now, you've got a $2 advance in feeder cattle, and September, those deferred contracts, $1.50, $1.80 higher in the feeders today.
You know, again, we're seeing, I think, what you're really seeing here more, volume is light. I think what's happening, like in any other market, when markets are dull and markets are quiet, they tend to grind higher, and guys that are short, that don't have the bankroll to hold a short position, are being forced to cover, and I think that's more the action you're seeing. I think it's more of a short covering rally of weak hands trying to stay short this market, and when we don't get enough action and we don't get the break, they're forced to come in, and of course, sellers know when buyers are choking at it, and they're going to push prices higher.
All right, so what does that mean to the producer out there looking at those feeder cattle futures? What do they make of what you're just talking about?
I think that the producers have got to be hedging themselves off in here, at least putting on some sort of either option spread or straight sell in the futures. Again, I think that here is a very high profitable margin for these guys, and I think this is a great place to take it off, and that would be my recommendation, which it has been to many of the producers that I actually do business with. All
right, so that moves over to the pork trade here, and we see futures perhaps correcting an overbought position here, but they're back to 65, 70 points higher. How much volume are we seeing in the hog complex today?
I think the whole complex is relatively light, Mark. I don't think there's a lot going on. Again, we've got a tremendous tie. I think really for one of the first times in history, we've really got a real tie to what's going on in the equity space as well, because now, you know, lack of everything is starting to fish off into every market. I think, you know, 86 is a pretty good top for right now. I'm looking for still that pullback to 80 in the hog space, and then I would be happy to be in and step in and be a buyer again.
Yeah, a few seconds left here. You talk about the dollar, talk about unemployment, talk about the stock market, those outside factors today. What is the stock market showing us today? What's it showing?
I mean, the market it's done what it's every time. We had a little bit of a sell-off. Now the market, yesterday was a sell-off, today we're railing. There is no direction. We are in a trendless, directionless market. Just like the feeder cattle and the live cattle, we're up near the upper end of the level. Every time we sell off, buyers step back in, because right now you're still being driven by what I call the legalized Ponzi scheme of the Fed that continues to try to manipulate currency and manipulate the interest rates to try to keep the stock market happy. Why? I still haven't figured that part out yet. But that's what's going on here. Most of the move is artificial and based on free money that's being delivered by the Fed. However, the guys that are going to go out and buy grains and the guys that are going to go out and buy steaks are guys that aren't working, and they will not be buying because they don't have enough money to buy right now. They got enough. They're lucky if they can pay their rent.
Well, with that, we thanks for the great information here. As always good to talk to you, and we will look forward to our next visit.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Todd Horwitz, Average Joe Options, live from the floor at the CME Group in Chicago, and trade's not closed yet today.